Friends, at the outset, let me extend warm greetings for all lovers of Sanskrit who are eager to know the knowledge embedded in the ancient Indian lore and Sanskrit knowledge, Sanskrit language. And thanks and congratulations for the organizers of this webinar on Indic knowledge systems, which is open for all. And I salute the senior scholars who are blessing and encouraging people like me and Sanskrit lovers here by their presence, by their cooperation. And I pay obeisance to everybody present here. Friends, let us begin with a benediction. Vishuddha jnana dehaya trivedi divya chakshushe Shreyah prapti nimittaya namas somarthadharine. Friends, I have been asked to give a general introduction to Shulbasutra-s. Now, what are Shulbasutra-s? Shulbasutra-s are a class of works. There are several works which go by the name Shulbasutras. Baudhayana Shulbasutra, Apastamba Shulbasutra, Manava Shulbasutra, Katyayana Shulbasutra, etc. This class of works belong to Vedic literature. These are known by the name of authors. For example, Shulbasutra authored by the sage Baudhayana is sometimes called by some people as Bodhayana. The work, the Shulbasutra authored by him is called the Baudhayana Shulbasutra. So, the Shulbasutra authored by Apastamba, sage Apastamba is Apastamba Srauta Sutras. So, and these works belong to, as I said, Vedic literature. When I say Vedic literature, one may ask, to which Veda do they belong? Actually, they belong to the Vedangas. Vedangas are ancillaries, the knowledge of which is considered to be essential for the completion of Vedic learning. Vedanga, limbs of Veda. As you know, there are 6 Vedangas. They are Shiksha, Vyakaranam, Chandaha, Niruktam, Jyotisham, and Kalpa. Shiksha is phonetics, Vyakaranam, grammar, Chanda, prosody, Niruktam, etymology, Jyotisham is astronomy or mathematics, and Kalpa, they are practical guidebooks for the conduct of Vedic sacrifices. Now, Kalpasutras, they are one of the Vedangas. Vedanga works are composed by human beings. That is the difference between Vedas and Vedangas. The Vedic literature proper, for example, Rigveda Samhita, or Aitareya, Aranyaka, or Shatapatha Brahmana, all these Vedic texts, they are held to be revelations by tradition. They are said to be apaurushaya, not written by, not composed by human beings. They are revelations, they are divine utterances, they are eternal utterances, they are seen by sages. And in contrast, Vedangas, the 6 Vedangas, they are said to be Paurusheya, composed by human beings. Now, coming to Kalpasutras. These Shulbasutras are part of Kalpasutras, one of the Vedangas. So, what is a Kalpa? Practical manuals for the conduct of Vedic rituals, they are called Kalpa. Sayana, in his commentary on Rigveda, defines kalpa as kalpyate yaga prayogaha atra iti kalpaha, where the sacrificial ritualistic details are described. Those books are called Kalpasutras. These Kalpasutras, they contain 4 parts or sections. They are Srauta Sutras, Grihya Sutras, Dharma Sutras, and Shulbasutra-s. Now, first, Srauta Sutras. Srauta Sutras deal with ritualistic aspect of Vedic sacrifices, which are directly ordained by Vedas. Srauta means directly enunciated by, directly stated by, directly prescribed by Vedas. The rituals which are directly prescribed by Vedas, they are called Srauta rituals. Now, these Srauta Sutras, they deal with the conduct of such Srauta rituals. Grihya Sutras, they deal with domestic rituals. These domestic rituals are called Smarta Karmans or Smarta Kriyas or Grihya Kriyas. Smarta means that are stipulated by Smriti texts. Smritibhihi uktani smartani. Smritibhihi proktani. And Grihya means, the term Grihya means those rituals which are to be performed in Griha, home. As you know, there are 16 Smarta Karmas well known, right from starting right from Garbhadhana and ending with Antyeshti. And Dharma Sutras, they deal with the theoretical aspects regarding yagas or dharma, the essential elements of Vedas. Shulbasutras, they deal with the construction of sacrificial fireplaces and altars. Construction or measurement of sacrificial fireplaces and altars. Fireplaces and altars are of different geometrical shapes. Now, what you have known, what you have come to know so far, Shulbasutras are a class of works belonging to Vedic literature which deal with the construction of fireplaces and altars of different geometrical shapes. What is a Shulba and what is a Sutra? The term Shulba is derived from the root Shulb, to measure. Thus, the term Shulba means 3 things: the act of measurement, the instrument for measurement, and the measure itself. Hence, a rope, a bamboo stick, or any other instrument used for measurement is meant by the term Shulba. Shulbasutras often speak of Venus and Rajjus. Rajju is a rope and Venu is a bamboo stick. Venu na vimimite. That's a statement by in the Vedic literature, in the Taittiriya Samhita. In all the Yajur Samhitas and Brahmanas, you get this statement. Venu na vimimite. And for Rajju, one of the Shulbasutras, Katyayana Shulbasutra, begins the work with the first aphorism. The first sutra goes like this: Rajju samasam vyakhyāsyāmah. Rajju means rope, Shulba, the instrument used for measurement. So that is Shulba. Now what is a sutra? Sutra means a style of language, and books written using this style of language are also known by the name Sutra. All of you may be knowing the great works Brahma Sutra, Yoga Sutra, Jaimini Sutra, Panini Sutra, Dharma Sutra, etc. Brahma Sutra, the text dealing with Brahman, Vedanta text, the fundamental text of Vedanta, Brahma Sutras. Yoga Sutra dealing with the yogas and the language the style of language used is Sutra. Jaimini Sutra, they deal with Dharma. Athato Dharma Jijnasa. That is the first sutra. This text is said to be authored by Jaimini, the sage Jaimini. Hence it is called the Jaimini Sutra. In Panini Sutra, it is grammar, Ashtadhyayi, the book Ashtadhyayi. Dharma Sutra, there are different kinds of Dharma Sutras, different texts which go by the name Dharma Sutra, authored by different sages. Vasishtha Dharma Sutra, Gautama Dharma Sutra, like that. Now, what is a sutra? It's a very brief but precise statement which comprehensively states all the aspects of the subject. There is a popular definition of sutra. It goes like this: Alpaksharam asandigdham saravat vishwatomukham astobham anavadyam cha sutram sutravido viduh. This is a very popular definition. Alpakshara means it should be brief and precise. Asandigdham means unambiguous, clear. Saravat, it should be to the point. Vishwatomukham, comprehensive. Astobham, it should be devoid of exaggerations and figures of speech. No emotional content should be there. Anavadyam, blemishless. So, sutra means a statement which is brief and precise and ambiguous, to the point, comprehensive, and without exaggeration, and which is devoid of blemishes. Now, 7 Shulbasutra texts are available. Bauddhayana Shulbasutra, Apastamba Shulbasutra, Manava Shulbasutra, Katyayana Shulbasutra, Maitrayana Shulbasutra, Varaha Shulbasutra, Vadhula Shulbasutra. It is interesting to note that all these texts are appended to Yajurveda. They belong to Yajurveda. Why? Yajurveda is called Adhuryu Veda or Yaga Veda. Of the all Vedas, Yajurveda is the Veda for the conduct of sacrifices, Vedic sacrifices, yagas or yajnas. Katyayana Shulbasutra belong to Shukla Yajurveda, and all the other Shulbasutras, all the 6 other Shulbasutras belong to Krishna Yajurveda. As you know, Yajurveda has got 2 recensions or 2 branches. One is called White or Shukla Yajurveda, and the other one is called Black or Krishna Yajurveda. In total, there are 101 branches of Yajurvedas divided into 2, black and white. And Taittiriya Shakha, Taittiriya branch is very popular today. And in Shukla branch, this Vajasanaya Samhita is very popular. Now, a commentator by name Karavinda Swami, who has commented upon Apastamba Shulbasutra, he refers to 2 other Shulbasutra texts other than the cited 7 ones, Hiranyakeshi Shulbasutra and Mashaka Shulbasutra. Hiranyakeshi also belongs to Yajurveda only, and Mashaka, surprisingly, belongs to Samaveda. These 2 texts are not available today. Now, why Yajurveda is so important? Because many people, many scholars, many ancient sages, many Vedic scholars hold that the most important Veda is Yajurveda. Actually, we have heard that Rigveda is the oldest one and the most important Veda, but in contradiction, ancient people, ancient sages of ancient lore themselves held the view that Yajurveda is the most important one. Sayana, who has written, Sayana, as you know, who lived in 14th century, he was a minister of King Bukka of Vijayanagara Empire. This Sayana, who wrote commentaries on all the Vedic texts, on all the available Vedic texts, he chose to begin with Yajurveda. And he says, Adhvaryavasya Vedasya Pradhanyad Vyakritah Pura. He says, after writing commentary on Yajurveda, when he starts to write commentary on Rigveda, he says, as Yajurveda is the most important, I have already commented upon Yajurveda. Adhvaryavasya Vedasya Pradhanyad Pura Vyakritah. I have already commented upon it. And the people of Yatika school, they also hold that Yajurveda is most important because in yagas there are several priests. They are known by the name Ritviks. There are 4 main priests. They are Hota, Udgata, Brahman and Adhvaryu. Among these 4, the chief is Adhvaryu because he manages the event. He is the superintendent of whole program. Adhvaryuhu Adhvarayuk Adhvaram Yunakti, and he is a master of Yajurveda. And this Hota is a master of specialist in Rigveda. And Udgata, he chants musically Samans. He is a master of Samaveda. And Brahman is the master of Atharva Veda. And there is a popular verse. It is very popular in the context of Indian mathematics. It's a statement by Lagadha, the author of Vedanga Jyotisha. He says, Vedahi yajnartham abhipravrittaha. Vedahi yajnartham abhipravrittaha. Vedas stand for the conduct of yagas. That is what he says. This is also very popular. So, Yajurveda is the most important as far as the conduct of Vedic sacrifices is concerned. Vedic sacrifices are broadly classified into 2 as Nitya and Kamya. Based on this, sacrificial fire itself is differentiated as Nityagni and Kamyagni. When I say Nitya, one may think Nitya means those rituals which are to be performed daily. Nitya, every day. No, it is not like that. Nitya rituals, they are obligatory. If you don't do, you will invite sin. If you do, there is no special benefit. Such works, such rituals, they are called Nitya, obligatory. Yesham akarane pratyavayaha. If you don't do, you are inviting sin. So you should do like that. And they are Nitya rituals. And Kamya, as the term itself indicates, they are optional to meet some personal desires. There are different kinds of Kamya rituals prescribed in the Vedas. Now, Darsha, Purnamasa, Agnihotra, etc. are the examples for Nitya rituals, Nitya sacrificial rituals. Darsha is an Ishti, Purnamasa is an Ishti, and Agnihotra is a Homa. This Ishti, Homa, etc. are different kinds of yagas. Small yaga, the smallest one is Homa, that is Agnihotra. And Darsha, Purnamasa, they are called Ishtis. And there are Pashubandhas, Somayagas, Nirudavashubandhas, etc. etc. Some Kamya rituals are cited here. Kariri Ishti, Putriya Ishti or Putrakami Ishti, Chitrayaga, Chandas Chiti, Shiena Chiti, Rathachakra Chiti. These are some examples. Now, Kariri Ishti, this ritual is done by one who is desirous of getting rains. It is meant for rains. This is a general notion that every yaga is meant for rains. No, it is not like that. Kariri Ishti is meant for rains. Rains are the benefit of Kariri Ishti. And Putriya Ishti is nothing but Putrakami Ishti, which is very well known. In Ramayana, Dasharatha performs Putrakami Ishti. He is desirous of getting a child, getting a son. So he performed Putriya Ishti or Putrakami Ishti. Now Chitra Yaga. Chitraya Yajeta Pasukamaha. Chitra Yaga, one who is desirous of getting the wealth of cattle, he should perform Chitra Yaga. That is what the Vedic injunction says. Chitraya Yajeta Pasukamaha. And this Shena Chiti, Chandas Chiti, Rathachakra Chiti, they are examples of Kamya rice. You see the term Chiti at the end of all this. Shena Chiti, Chandas Chiti, Rathachakra Chiti. This Chiti means piling of bricks. Piling of bricks. So we will come to those again. Now these fireplaces and altars, they are called Chiti. Platforms made of different kinds of bricks. Altars, we are calling it as altars. In Vedic literature, Chiti, that is the term for it. These fireplaces, that is a Homa Kunda. Fireplaces and altars are of different shapes. Nityagni constitutes of 3 fireplaces: Garhapatya, Ahavaniya and Dakshina. Garhapatya, Ahavaniya and Dakshina. Dakshinagni is sometimes called Anvahariya Pachana. All these should have the same area. This is very important point. All these fireplaces should have same area of 1 Purusha square. Purusha means a unit, just like a centimeter, meter, foot, etc., mile, etc. It's a unit of length. So area is one and the same, and the shape differs. That will come. Purusha is a unit of length equivalent to the measure of a man with outstretched hands. Yavan Purushaha Urdhva Bahu Tavan Bhavati. But all these 3 fireplaces having the same area of 1 Purusha square. However, they are to be constructed or they are to have different shapes. Garhapatya, it should have a square shape. Ahavaniya, it should be circular. And Dakshina, it should be semicircular. And some texts prescribe that Garhapatya also should have circular shape. Let it be. So one should transform a square Purusha into a circular Purusha and semicircular Purusha. So geometry is involved, rich geometry is involved. Thus the construction of these fireplaces involves transformation of geometrical figures with a given fixed area. For that, as you know, if you want to construct a square, you should know the perimeter. If one side of a square is A units, then 4A is the perimeter and A square is the area, and the diagonal, it will have a length A root of 2. So this construction of a fireplace of square shape and altering it to another fireplace of circular shape it involves the knowledge of the value of root 2 and pi. One should know pi also, because the circumference of a circle one should know. It is 2 pi r, and the area of a circle one should know. It is pi r square. So pi and root 2, these are special numbers. As you know, root 2 is an irrational number, and pi is also an irrational number. So these rich geometry, algebra, they are involved. And this Bodhayana Shulbasutra contains enunciation of or statement of Pythagoras theorem. Pythagoras theorem is a right angle triangle, theorem for right angle triangle. Okay, we'll come to it later. Now, I shall just read out a list of units of length that are seen in the Shulba text. Angula, Pradesha, Pada, Bahu, Prakrama, Aratmi, Vyama, Purusha. These are some units of lengths that are seen in the Shulba text. What is the date of all these Shulba texts? They are roughly dated between 800 BC and 300 BCE, before Christian era. 800 BCE and 300 BCE. All the 7 Shulba texts which are available today. This Bodhayana Shulbasutra is the oldest and biggest of all the Shulba texts. It is divided into 3 chapters. It contains 525 sutras or aphorisms. There are 2 commentaries on it. They are Shulbadipika, authored by Dwarakanatha Yajna, and Shulbamimamsa, authored by Venkateshwara Dikshita. Now, we said that Shulbasutra texts, they are written in the style of sutra, small, brief and precise statements. It has prose like that, we said. But all the texts are not written in sutra. Some Shulba texts are written in verses also. For example, the Manava Shulbasutra, it contains both prose and verse. These verses also can be called as sutra, because very brief and precise statement, any brief precise statement can be called as sutra. But usually we find the sutras as statements, prose statements, just like this one, Ayuna, Rilika, or Athato Dharma Jijnasa, or Vibhavanubhava Vyabhichari Samyoga Drasanspati, or Atha Yoga Anushasanam, Yogaschittavarti Nirodha, like that. But even verses can be called sutras. So all the texts are not written in prose. Some Shulba texts are written in prose and verse. They contain prose and verse. For example, this Manava Shulbasutra contains prose statements and versified statements. It is divided into 7 khandas or 7 chapters. The most important aspect of this Manava Shulbasutra is that there is a description of determining cardinal directions, east, west, north, south, etc. How to determine these directions. It is described in detail only in this Shulbasutra, Manava Shulbasutra. Now, coming to Apastamba Shulbasutra, it contains only prose statements. It's a small text. 223 aphorisms or sutras. They are divided into 6 patalas. Patala, that is the name for chapter. And we have got 4 commentaries written on this Apastamba Shulbasutra. Shulba Vyakhya by Kapardi Swamin, Shulba Pradipika by Karavinda Swamin, Shulba Pradeepa by Sundara Raja, and Apastambiya Shulba Bhashya by Gopala. Now, coming to the last Shulbasutra, Katyayana Shulbasutra, it contains 2 parts. One is in prose and the other one is in verse. First part contains 90 sutras in prose, and second part contains 48 verses. The speciality of this Shulbasutra is that no Kamya Agnis, Kamya rituals are described in this Shulbasutra. In this Kalpa, that is Katyayana Kalpa, Katyayana branch of Kalpa Sutras, these Kamyagnis are dealt with in the Srauta Sutras itself. So in Shulbasutras, we don't get description of Kamyagnis. Now, again, fireplaces inside the altars, they are of different shapes. Some Vedic sacrifices contain the construction of altars using bricks. Altars, that is Chiti, Shena Chiti, Kanka Chiti, Alaja Chiti, Drona Chiti. Chiti. This Chiti means piling of bricks or construction of platforms using bricks. These will have different layers, 3 layers or 2 layers, 5 layers, like that. These altars, which are called Chittis, are of different shapes for different rituals. Also, the bricks used are of different geometrical shapes, such as square. Some bricks are in square shape, some are in triangular shape, some are in pentagon shape, pentagon having 5 sides, and some are in a rhombus, in the shape of rhombus. So different shapes. The shape, area, and even the number of bricks to be used for the construction of these fire altars are clearly given in Samhitas and Brahmanas of Yajurveda. What I mean to say is that, see, the number of bricks, the shape of bricks, even the mantras to be uttered in accompaniment when these bricks are being placed, they are prescribed by Vedic texts, the Samhita texts of Yajurveda and Brahmana texts of Yajurveda. So one cannot violate these injunctions. That is, they are preordinated. Thus, the Vedic seers themselves knew the construction, measurement, perimeter, and area of all these geometrical shapes. That is what we can presume. All these are prescribed by Vedas. The Shulba texts give only a representation of the geometrical knowledge of the Vedic sacrifices. So what I mean to say is that even before the composing of Shulba texts, these Vedic sacrifices, seers, rishis, who performed the sacrifices, they knew geometry. Shulba texts are only systematized works which preserve the knowledge that is reflected in the Vedic literature. Just to justify my statement, I am quoting a statement from the work of the Shulbasutras, written by S.N. Sen and Amulya Kumar Band. I will not read out. You can read. I will pause for 1 or 2 minutes. Now, I shall recite some Vedic statements which prescribe, which enunciate or give injunctions, ordain the construction of different altars, fireplaces, and even the modus operandi of sacrificial rituals. Trigumsat padani pastat tirasti bhavati, shatrigumsat prachi, chaturvigumsati purastat tirasti. This is a statement in Taittiriya Samhita. It deals with the construction of Mahavedi. It is in the shape of a trapezium. The base should be 30 padas, 30 padas. Pada is a unit of length. And the upper part will be 24. And the altitude will be 36 padas. Trimshat padani paschat tirasti bhavati. Horizontal base should have a length of 30 padas. Chatrimshat prachi. The altitude should be 36 padas. Chaturvigimsati purastat tirasti. The upper part, it should have a length of 24 padas. Now another statement. Kritikas Agni Madadhita. One should perform Agniyadhana when the sun traverses the asterism of Kritika. Kritika Swagnimadadhita. Pancha Choda Upadadhati. It is a piling of some bricks. Sharkara Akta Upadadhati. Janudagni Muttaravedim Khatva. Apam Purayati. Agnim Pranidyopasamadhaya. Tamabhita Eta Abhishtaka Upadadhati. So these are some statements. I am going to explain this. This is a photo of Shenachiti. This Shenachiti was performed in Panyal in Kerala in 1975. See, you can see bricks of different shapes, a triangular shape, then square, and a rhombus. You can see bricks of different shapes. This is a rhombus, this is triangular, like that. This is square. So different shapes, and it has got 5 layers. Panchachitikam Chinvita. 5 layers are there, and it is in the shape of a falcon, hawk, Siena. Now, these Nambudiri Brahmins, they are making bricks, they are measuring bricks. It's a triangular brick being prepared. Different Yajnas, Chitis, Satriya, Savitra, Nachiketa, Chaturuhotriya, Vaishwasraja, Upanuvakya, Arunaketuka. Satriyam Agninchin Vita, Savitram Agninchin Vita, Nachiketam Agninchin Vita, Chaturuhotriyam Agninchin Vita, Vaishwasrajam, like that. All these Chitis are described in Taittiriya Aranyaka first chapter, as well as the 3 chapters which are said to be adopted from the Katha branch to Taittiriya branch. They go by the name Kathaka chapters, Kathaka Prashnas. These 4 chapters deal with all these Chitis: Satriya, Savitra, Nachiketa, Chaturuhotriya, Vaishwasrija, Upanuvakya, Arunaketuka. This Nachiketa Agni, it is connected with the Nachiketa's Kathopanishad. That also you should remember. Okay. I am giving some examples of different Chitis. The name is given in the first column, the shape of the altars given in the second column, and the desired object is given in the third column. Chandaschitan Chinvita Pasukamaha, Shenachitan Chinvita Suvargakamaha. One should perform Shenachiti, who is desirous of heaven. It is in the shape of Shena or falcon, hawk. Kankachitan Chinvitaya Kamayeta Shir Shanva Namashtum Loke Syamiti. Kankachitan Chinvita, who desires prominence in the other world, he should perform Kankachiti. It is in the form of a bird heron. Alajachiti, again another bird. The desired object is preeminence, high authority. Pra-ugam Chinvita, pra-ugachiti. Pra-uga, it's a shape, it is isosceles triangle. A triangle in which 2 sides are of equal length. So this is performed for annihilation of rivals. Ubhayatah pra-ugam Chinvita. Ubhayatah pra-uga means 2 isosceles triangles are just opposed to make a rhombus. The shape is of a rhombus, and a complete eradication of rivals is the desired object. Okay. Oh, we are running short of time, so I am just skipping. I have given a list of geometrical propositions which are reflected in the Shulba text. They are not actually dealt with, but we can infer that these propositions are very well known to the Shulbavids. A circle can be divided into any number of parts by drawing diameters. Diagonals of the rectangle bisect it. The diagonals of a rectangle bisect each other, and they divide the rectangle into equal parts. The diagonals of a rhombus bisect each other at right angles. An isosceles triangle is divided into 2 equal halves by the line joining the middle point of the opposite side. A quadrilateral formed by the lines joining the middle points of the etc. etc. I'm not going into detail. The most remarkable achievements of Vedic Shulbasutra-s, sacrificial altar builders, as reflected in Shulba texts, are only three. The precise statement of the theorem of the square of the diagonal, that is Pythagoras theorem, as is known today. Pythagoras theorem, very clear statement, scientific statement. It is not a figurative language, but a clear, matter-of-fact language, scientific language is used. And number two, evaluation of root 2 to a very high degree of accuracy. Now, root 2, it is called, as I said earlier, irrational number. What is an irrational number? To put it in simple terms, a number which cannot be written as a fraction. See, we can write 4 as 100 by 25 or 25 as 100 by 4, or we can write 7, represent 7 as 14 by 2. We cannot represent some numbers like this, a fraction of integers, whole numbers. Such numbers are called irrational. Root 2 is such a number. To put it in other words, the exact value of these numbers cannot be found out. Such numbers are called irrational numbers. So we can only have an approximation. Now, in the Bodhayana Shulbasutra, the earliest Shulba text, we get an evaluation, an approximation of root 2 to a very high degree of accuracy. And the third important point is that it is implied that they knew, the Shulbasutra knew that root 2 is irrational. Exact value cannot be found out. That the fact they knew very well, that is implied in their statements. Now, Pythagoras theorem, right angled triangle, the theorem of right angled triangle, in a given right angled triangle, the base square and the altitude square, they go together to make the hypotenuse square. Base square plus altitude square equals hypotenuse square. This is known today by the name Pythagoras. Actually, centuries before Pythagoras, Bodhayana has stated clearly an explicit statement. He says, Bodhayana, in his Bodhayana Shulbasutra, Dirgha Chaturashrasya Akshnaya Rajjuhu Parshvamani Tiryanmani Chayat Prithak Bhute Kurutaha Tadubhayam Karoti. He has clearly stated this theorem. But Pythagoras, who lived actually before 6th century BC, he is said to have known this theorem. It is ascribed to him, and the first man to say this is Cicero, who lived in 1st century BC, around 50 BCE. So it is not proven fact that Pythagoras knew this. Even before Pythagoras, that is Bodhayana Shulbasutra, which is dated centuries, at least 2 centuries before Pythagoras, it gives a clear statement. This is a statement. The diagonal of a rectangle produces both the areas, etc., etc. You can read. It is very popular, very well known, so I am not reading it out. It's a clear statement of the right-angled triangle theorem. Dirgha Chaturashrasya Akshnaya Rajjuhu Parshvamani Tiryanmani Cha Yat Prithak Bhute Kurutaha Tadubhayam Karoti. Dirgha Chaturashrasya means a rectangle, Akshnaya Rajju means a hypotenuse, and Tiryanmani, base, Parshvamani is side. If you translate this into modern mathematical language, it should be the value of root 2 is given as 1 plus 1 by 3 plus 1 by 3 into 4 minus 1 by 3 into 4 into 34. It works out to 1.4142156. It's a very good approximation. It is given in a statement, Pramanam Tritiyena Vardhayet Tacha Chaturthena Atma Chatustunshonena Savisheshaha. The most important point is that Bodhayana says the value given by me is not exact. It is savishesha. It is having a difference. It always, whoever tries to evaluate root 2, he will end up with a value which differs from the exact value. That is what is meant by the term, by the statement savishesha. So it implies that the Shulbasutra knew that root 2 is rational. For want of time, I am skipping it. Actually, it is very important and it is very well known, popular also. So I am just skipping. This is a statement. Again, I will just keep mum. You can go through. This is a statement by Dr. K.A. Saraswati Amma. What she says is that Indian mathematicians have shown a predilection for demonstrating algebraical truths geometrically. What is the importance of this statement? See, once scholars, historians of mathematics, they held that ancient Indians were not masters of geometry. They were, of course, masters of algebra, arithmetics, and trigonometry, but they didn't have a rich knowledge of geometry. That is what they held. But through her work, Geometry in Ancient and Medieval India, Dr. K.A. Saraswati Amma, she established that ancient Indians, Vedic, right from the Vedic seers, and in the Indians in the medieval period also, they employed geometry to demonstrate algebraical identities and truths. And it is especially so in the case of Kerala mathematicians of medieval times. As you know, in Kerala, there was a mathematical tradition which made a tremendous contribution to world mathematics during 13th to 18th centuries. These scholars, these Kerala mathematicians, they always demonstrated algebraical identities geometrically. So it's a very important statement. Now I am coming to the concluding part. Thus, the Shulbasutras are verily the primary sources of Vedic geometry. As established by Saraswati Amma, Indians in medieval and ancient India developed the geometry very well. They had a very good knowledge of geometry. They have been trying to prove algebraic truths geometrically. The Shulbasutra class of works contain a rich content of geometry, and the Vedic texts presuppose the knowledge reflected in the Shulbasutras. Hence, the Shulbasutras can verily be called the source books of Vedic geometry. Thank you. Thank you, friends. The value of pi was calculated by Shulbasutra. The authors of Shulbasutras, they knew, but it was a rough value. The exact value was given by Aryabhatta, the first, the author of Aryabhatiya, in a very well-known statement. चतुरधिकं शतमष्टगुणं द्वाषष्टिस्तथा सहस्राणाम् अयुतुद्वय विष्कम्भस्य आसन्नो वृत्तपरिणाः. That's a statement in Aryabhatiya where he states that he gives the value of pi as 3.1416, and he also adds up the statement asannaha. It is approximate value, not the exact value. Asanno vrittaparinaha. Etymology, right now I am unable to say anything. It is both chiti as well as the shape of a brick. Pra-uga. Actually, the term literally means a yoke which is put on the cart. A yoke. So that is pra-uga. It is in the shape of an isosceles triangle. Two sides, two lengthy portions of equal size. Okay, etymology, what is the root and all, I cannot say anything now. I don't know. The date of Karavinda Swami is not later than 5th century. That is rough dating. Given
Rough dating.
A.K. Bag, Amulya Kumar Bag, as well as SNSN. Okay, it is a rough dating.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your quick, prompt response. Yeah. So I thank NKS
Thank you all.
on my behalf and on behalf of Chinmaya Vishwavidyapit for participating and giving your valuable expertise, in this particular topic, Shulbasutra-s, the source books of Vedic Geometry. And I thank all the participants for their active participation. So we'll close with a concluding mantra. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ